Brett Strong, Internet Skeptic. Let's talk about the historical Jesus. Well, let me back up for a moment. First of all, as you know, listening to my podcasts and teachers and lectures, 4 BCE to 30 AD, Jesus does not exist. The New Testament Jesus is not found in history. Whether you're talking about a mere man Jesus or a superhero character named Jesus. Either way, it doesn't matter. Jesus, the New Testament Jesus is not found. And when you talk about a superhero Jesus, superhero character named Jesus of Nazareth, the one that flies in the air, disappears through a wall, born of a virgin, face turns into the sun, walks on water, turns water into wine. When you talk about a superhero character named Jesus, then obviously that's fiction. Just like a man, Superman. You know, you got Clark Kent that turns into Superman. That's fiction. You got a man that turns into Spider-Man. That's fiction. You got a guy turns green, turns into Incredible Hulk. Come on, that's fiction. In the New Testament, gospel is the same thing. You got a man who has God powers. So one instance he's a man, but then all of a sudden he's got superhero powers. So it's just like Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Superman, Iron Man. They're all men with superhero powers. Throw Jesus in the same box. Man with superhero powers. Fiction, just like all Marvel comic book characters are fiction. But it is very reasonable to think that there might have been a historical Jesus. I mean, if Charles Manson, Jeff Warnes, David Koresh could get followers to murder people for him, give their young daughters to them, stand by their side unto death, stand by their side even though they're in prison, and still have 10,000 plus followers listening to you hardcore. If those guys can get that type of ardent following, loyal following, then surely somebody back in those days, 2,000 years ago, with no technology, super primitive, surely somebody back then could get a following. I mean, if Charles Manson can get a following, somebody back 2,000 years ago that was charismatic could get a following. If David Koresh can get a following, surely somebody 2,000 years ago could get a following. If Jeff Warnes can get a following, 10,000 members, and have the members offer their daughters unto him, just like the members of David Koresh had the couples give their daughters unto him as sexual whatever, surely there could be a man that had a little following back there and did his little thing. So that's very reasonable. Very plausible. Now, it's not a fact because no Jesus is found in 4 BC to 30 AD as far as the New Testament. The New Testament Jesus is not found. Done. There's nothing there. But we could imagine that there was a historical Jesus. So let's imagine there was a historical Jesus. So let's just take the Gospels and cut out all the miracles and cut out all the prophecies and cut out any post-resurrection appearances. So we're taking the Jesus, the New Testament, the Gospels that is, and we're going to cut out all the miracle accounts. We're going to cut out all the prophecy fulfilled. And we're going to cut out the resurrection post appearances. Cut that out. And I think we got a pretty good area of what a historical Jesus would have been, looked like, and did. And he's pretty badass. I mean, first of all, the guy that people have studied the bone boxes of the first century Jewish men, and they come in, I guess, right around 5'1", 5'3". So Jesus would have been right around 5'1". They say about 110 pounds. Little guy. He's a cool guy. He's a badass, because when you look at the New Testament and take all that miracle stuff out and all the prophecy and get down to just the basics, you got a pretty badass guy. I mean, this guy Jesus, the historical Jesus, he traveled around with an entourage. Dude, he had a crew, man, a crew of fishermen. You know they were rowdy. Fishermen are rowdy by nature. And the historical Jesus was the boss, so, his crew was going to him. Yes, boss. No, boss. Yes, boss. No, boss. It's like the mafioso, the guy in charge. Like Rick Ross, his song, I'm a boss. That was Jesus. I'm a boss. This is my crew. And I run deep. You ever see rappers come into a party like 30 deep? Like Wu-Tang Clan. That's the historical Jesus. He traveled with an entourage. And the historical Jesus, he drank mad alcohol. Heck, the historical Jesus partied like a rock star. Matter of fact, if you look at the Gospels, he partied so much that even his enemies is like, damn, Your boy parties too much. And not only does he party too much, but he parties with notorious sinners, scumbags. I mean, what's up with that? With your Jesus talking to the disciples. I mean, that's how hard Jesus partied. That even his enemies like, man, this dude parties too hard. And he parties with notorious sinners. If Jesus was alive today, notorious sinners like prostitute, pimps, mafiosos, Jesus would have been partying with those type of guys. Throwing back shots, drinking, and talking about the love of God at the same time. Dude, that's badass. Dude, I'm a big fan of the historical Jesus. I'm a big fan of the superhero Jesus too. You know, I like fictional characters, but I'm a big fan also of the hypothetical historical Jesus too. I mean, the guy had his own entourage. He drank mad alcohol. He partied like a rock star. He partied with pimps and mafioso and tough guys and tough women. This dude was no joke. Even his contemporaries complained about how hard he was partying. And the cool thing about it, he didn't give a flying F what people thought about him. He told his enemies that was complaining about him partying so hard and partying with scumbags and notorious sinners, he told them like, hey dude, I'm the groom. These are my boys. We're going to party. Like Justin Bieber said, like it's 30-12. We're going to party. The historical Jesus told us, hey, I'm a groom. And he even made an example. It's like, hey, when the groom has come and he's with his boys, what do they naturally do? They party. You ever see a groom with his boys? Dude, they come in and they run the show. They party hard. They're drinking champagne. They're drinking Maker's Mark. They're doing shots of J-Mo. Dude, Jesus was badass. His crew was no joke. He partied and he said, hey, I'm the groom. These are my boys. And the groom always party. Jesus made it a party. I party. The historical Jesus. Wow. He was like a local celebrity, man. The dude was badass. You could imagine, you know, women just want him. Coming in with his crew. He's their boss. They're like, yes, boss. No, boss. Yes, boss. He's hanging around with notorious sinners that all give him his props. Like, yo, that's the historical Jesus. Yo, what's up, Jesus of Nazareth? What's up? This dude is no joke. This is a real dude right here doing shots, drinking, rowdy crowd, talking about love, talking about, you know, let's do what's right, fellas. Let's be men. No, we are men. We're not sissy. Jesus was no joke, man. You know, women was on his jock. Check it out. You don't think so? Look it. Jesus is in a house. And he's got his enemies looking at him, talking, whatever. And this hot prostitute comes at his feet, crying, breaks out a $1,000 bottle of perfume and puts it on his feet and starts massaging his feet with her hair, her long, beautiful, soft hair, massaging his feet. In front of everyone. Jesus is kicking back, was like, yeah. His enemy's like, what? This dude cannot be right. He's got a prostitute at his feet and she's rubbing his feet, putting all kind of perfume, like, dude. And Jesus sitting back like, yeah, sweet. This is beautiful. She's doing a good thing. Leave her alone. Wow. And afterwards, he made her part of his entourage. Like, yo, baby, come with me. You with my crew now. I'm looking out for you. Yeah, the historical Jesus, the big, I'm looking at you. You with me now. Yo, fellas, she with me. Look out for her. She's taken care of. She's with me. Dude, Jesus was no joke. you know everywhere he went, women threw themselves at him. When you're that badass, where you got an entourage, you're the man of the entourage, you're hanging out with notorious sinners, everyone's giving you props, everyone's respecting you, everyone wants to be with you, everyone wants to hang out with you, everyone wants to hang out, they want to hang on every word you say. You know, mad women were throwing themselves at Jesus. You see the prostitute was at his feet. I love the historical Jesus. And he added her to his entourage. You know, as you can see right now, Jesus went against the social norms. He He didn't care about the social norms. Jesus came and did what he did. He did what he wanted to do. He did what he had to do. He did what he felt that he came to earth to do. He didn't care what anyone thought about him, what anyone said about him. He didn't care. Like, dude, this is me. I got a mission. I'm on it. I don't care about social norms. F social norms. Jesus was a polarizing figure, the historical Jesus. Very controversial figure. You can see why he's been around for 2,000 years in literature, and people just like, wow, I want to read about him because he's so controversial. He's such a polarizing figure. If Jesus was a goody two-shoe, like a male Mother Teresa, dude, no one would want to read about Jesus or follow Jesus. They'd be like, well, who is this feminized Mother Teresa guy with long hair? No, Jesus was a man's man. Drank alcohol, partied, had an entourage, hung around notorious sinners, had mad respect amongst those people, had females gathered around him, had a prostitute at his feet, put her in her entourage. Dude, Jesus rode deep, man. And he didn't care what anyone thought about him. That even made him more magnetic amongst people. And hated amongst other people. This is how badass Jesus was. The Jewish leaders were those guys were the leaders. Those were the authorities. And he went up to the corrupt Jewish leaders. Basically, in public, went up to the corrupt Jewish leaders and just gave them double middle fingers, as he basically called them a-holes, Can you imagine if there was a meeting of top officials, and you got the police chief, you got the mayor, you got the Congress people, you got senators, and they're all gathered around, doing their little social things and yada yada yada, and you got somebody come up to them like, hey, double middle fingers, you hoes, you guys are corrupt, man, you guys are vipers, you guys are ripping people off, man. Dude, can you imagine if somebody did that today? Amongst the top officials, come out, give them double middle fingers, say, hey, you a-holes, and this is why you a-holes, man, you're corrupt, man, what you're doing is wrong, you're ripping off the poor, man, you're like a bunch of vipers, man, you're a bunch of dead bones, man, you guys are gonna pay for this, man. Can you imagine what would happen to that guy? Dude, he'd be in jail. They'd be like, arrest him now. Everyone's face would turn red. The corrupt leaders would turn red. Arrest him now. I want him dead. You can see why the Jewish authorities wanted him dead. And that scenario makes it plainly clear. They wanted him dead. Jesus was a badass. And he kept doing it to the leaders. Every time the opportune time came, double middle fingers. Hey, you a-holes, you corrupt son of a guns, you vipers, bunch of dried bones, you sick individual, you corrupted, you robbed the poor, you're sick individual, double middle fingers, Dude. Again, you can see why they wanted him dead. If you went around and every time, or every opportune time you saw corrupt officials gathered and you went up to them in the middle of, people photographing them, interviewing them, you went up, hey, you son of a gun, you bastard, you thieves, you guys are ripping the poor off, did you sick? How can you do this? This is unjust. Dude, if you did that every time or every opportune time to the officials of your city, you'd be in prison, dude. They would want you dead, actually. So once again, you can see why they wanted Jesus dead. But Jesus didn't care. He was a badass. Check it out. It says that he brandished a weapon, made a weapon, brandished a weapon, a whip, and he went and terrorized people inside the temple. Jesus brandished a weapon and terrorized both man and beast with it. Now, whether he whipped them, the men or not, I don't know. But I could definitely imagine a scene where Jesus brandished that weapon and started whipping people. Because, they said the men and the animals got out the way. Well, to me, they got out the way. He's turning old tables. He's probably whipping people. Wow, like, ow, like a belt. You whip somebody with a belt, he was just, wow, how could you do this? Wow. I mean, get out of my father's house. I mean, wow. You can see why they wanted him dead, am I right? Jesus was badass. He brandished a weapon. Dude, can you imagine somebody today coming up and felt like that this was their father's place, and it was a place that should be highly respected, and it wasn't, and somebody pulled out a gun and was like, yo, start shooting in the air, get out, man, you disrespected my father's home, man, this place must be respected. That's kind of like what Jesus did. Brandished weapon like, yo, pow, 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 pow. Jesus was a very polarizing figure. The historical Jesus, he's badass. In fact, Jesus was so badass, he knew his own boy Judas was selling him out. He knew it. And he knew what was going to happen after that. He knew, hey, giving the Jewish leaders, authorities, the corrupt ones, the double middle fingers and saying you a-holes in front of everyone and calling them out for the corruption. You know, like, hey, you searching for your death, homie. So he knew what Judas was selling him out. He knew, man, death was coming. How could it not? But he told his boy Judas, like, yo, do what you got to do. It is what it is. Go. Look the red in the eyes. Go. Do what you got to do. That's badass. He was like, I'm a man. Dude, I got heart. I got fortitude. Test me, baby. I'm not going nowhere. I got a mission. I'm completing it, dude. I'm a badass. I was made this way. I'm no softy. Dude, the historical Jesus was no joke. And Judas went and did his dirty duty. And an ass whooping followed for Jesus. Said they took him aside. The Roman guards, these guys, Jesus 5'1", 110 pounds, got a heart of a lion, but he's surrounded by the Roman soldiers, probably like 6'5", sterile built, muscle bound, all kind of armor on them, cock diesel, ruthless, barbarian type guys, just fucking a whole crowd of them just surrounding Jesus, man, and just punch him in his face, like UFC, just pounding his face. Then he take his beard and just, if you look at the Gospels and you mix it in with Isaiah, and then you mix it in with a little bit of Mel Gibson movie, The Passion of the Christ, you can see these steroid rage guys, bloodthirsty soldiers, just like teeing off on Jesus, 5'1" and all, just teeing off on him, ripping out his beard. Then he just strip him naked, put a crown of thorns on his head, just raking his scalp, just split open, blood just flowed everywhere. Wow. And then he took this beat to a pulp being, crown of thorns on his head, naked, beard ripped out. This devastating human being, innocent, they took him in the courtyard. People looking at him, butt naked, and they made him bend over like a rock. And they took the cat o' nine tails, a whip. At the end, it had glass and other diabolical stuff meant to shred and tear the flesh and muscle and organs. And they bent this Jesus who was beat to a pulp, beard ripped out, crown of thorns ripped his scalp open, and they bent him over. Jesus took it like a man, like a lamb led to the slaughter. Jesus took it like a man. He didn't beg, let me out of this. He didn't wimp out. As they laid into his flesh, he was like, I got fortitude. I'm in a mission for my Father. I will complete the mission. Death will not stop me to complete this mission. Pain will not scare me. Shoo. 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 That's how the whip sounded when it just tore through his flesh. Shoo. Blood everywhere. Shoo. Blood splattered everywhere. Shoo. Every whip, blood splattered everywhere. Ripping and shredding his body like looked like he went to a meat grinder. They whipped him so bad, his guts almost fell out of its gut cavity. The intestines almost fell out. His stomach almost fell out. The inner contents almost fell out of his gut cavity. That's how bad he was whipped. Kidneys almost showing it from his in the back. Bones showing. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. And the historical Jesus took it like a man, like a lamb led to the slaughter. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Blood everywhere. Swoosh. See his intestines. See his stomach. See his kidney. Guts ready to fall out of his gut cavity. Legs, skin gone, arms, neck, face. They're laughing at Reese butt naked, bent over. They beat the crap out of him. Dude defecated on himself. Urinated on himself. That's how bad they beat him, but he didn't break. The historical Jesus didn't break. Under that much hell, he didn't break. The average man would have broke. He did. He said, me and my Father are one. I will complete this mission. Then it said, they forced him, this pulp of bloody flesh, weary, shaking and trembling from the shock, ricocheting to his body. Barbarically, they made him carry his own cross now. And it reads, on the long, dreary road to his execution, the Bible reads, great crowds trailed along behind, including many grief-stricken women. But Jesus turned to them and said to them, daughters of Jerusalem, don't weep for me. That is badass. Here you are, a bloody pulp of flesh, shaking and trembling, just got tortured just an inch before your death, and they say, you know what, carry your own cross now. He's walking, he's trembling, he's shaking, he's defecating himself. People are looking at him like, holy cow, look, people passing out, looking at him, people crying, weeping, people following, mourning, people just like, oh my goodness, this is insane, this is inhumane, and he's carrying his cross, he's in his, on a mission, me and my Father are one, he loves me, I will complete the mission, it's not done yet. They nail him to the cross. 6 hours he was up there. Bloody pulp of flesh. Stomach, intestines, waiting to fall out of his guts. Cavity. Just this. Kidneys ready to fall out at any moment. Feces all over him. Urine all over him. Shivering on the cross. Shocked. Suffocating. Can't breathe. I can't breathe. His mom is watching him in horror. His aunt. They're staring at each other in horror. And he looks up to his boy next to his mom. That is your mom. Take care of her for me. I can't any longer. My time is almost up. I'm fulfilling my Father's will. As him and his mom kept eye contact in horror. Can you imagine seeing your son stripped, naked, bloody pulp of flesh? His body shivering from shock. Guts ready to fall out his gut cavity. Can you imagine seeing your lovely child? Seeing flashbacks of birth of your woman birthing that child, your father, when your child is born, you cut the umbilical cord. Can you imagine looking up and seeing your son in that state of helplessness? A bloody pulp of flesh. Guts ready to fall out of his gut cavity any moment. Stripped. He didn't look human. He was beaten beyond recognition. He did not look human. His mama standing before him. Son, crying out to him, son, son, son. And at the same time, his enemies are mocking him. Get yourself down, Jesus. Get yourself down. You say you're all that. Get yourself down. You say you're a badass. Get yourself down. Throw me the middle fingers now. Jesus didn't break the historical Jesus. On the cross, shivering, suffocating. He didn't give in. Here his people, his enemies are mocking him, thinking he's at his weakest point. He's broken, but he wasn't. He wasn't broken. He had heart. He was on a mission. Him and his father were one. They're thinking he's at his weakest moment, that he's ready to break, and he proved it. Like, no, I'm actually at my strongest moment. I'm a freaking man. I'm on a mission. And he proved to them that he was strong, stronger than he was ever before, because he looked at his enemies and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Dude, how do you do it? I don't know. I'd want to get down and shoot him. You know how much strength it takes to look at your enemy who's mocking you when you're naked on the cross, naked, your guts are ready to fall, your gut cavity, your mama's right there, they're doing all of this in front of your mama, and you're up there nailed to the cross, suffocating to death. You know how much strength it takes to say, almost on your last breath, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Wow. And the Bible says he became thirsty. And he stuck a long twig into a sponge and dipped it in vinegar and put it to his lips. And the historical Jesus, knowing that him was about to come, his mama and him locked eye to eye. Son and mom and son. The horror almost over. Choking on his own blood, he looked at his mom. His mom almost had a heart attack. His mama dropped to her knees. She almost died with him. She almost died with him. He cried out. In his last breath, he cried out. His last breath. His final show of strength. He cried out before it is finished. And the Bible said his head went limp and he gave up the ghost. A champion's death, life fulfilled. Wow. Bravo. Bravo. The historical Jesus, bravo, wow, totally, wow. I am a freaking fan of the historical Jesus. Bravo, 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 wow. The historical Jesus is no joke. Wow, inspiring, controversial, wow, totally amazing. Totally amazing. I, Brett Strong, salute the historical Jesus. I, Brett Strong, salute the historical Jesus. I, Brett Strong, sign off.